Ever get the feeling like some people can just read you like a book?
Oh, don't.
Like they just know when you're feeling off, even if you try to hide it.
Yeah.
Maybe, just maybe, you've got a cancer in your life.
You might be onto something.
So today we're diving deep, no pun intended, into the mysterious and often misunderstood world of the Cancer personality.
Love it. Always happy to unpack the nuances of this fascinating sign.
And to guide us on this journey, we're turning to Cancer personality traits from Zodiac Fusion.
Great source. Really digs deep into what makes cancers tick.
So before we crack open those metaphorical crab claws, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about cancers?
Honestly, intuition. They've just got this sixth sense, you know?
It's like they can see right through you.
Exactly. But it's not in a creepy way or anything.
No, not at all. More like they just get you.
They totally do. It's like they pick up on those subtle cues, the vibes that other people miss.
So where do we even begin to understand this intuition? Is it like an astrological thing?
Well, for starters, remember, cancers are born under the sign of the crab, which is June 21st to July 22nd.
Got it. June 21st to July 22nd. Crabs. I see the connection already, but humor me.
Think about a crab for a second. Hard outer shell, right. But underneath, they're actually quite soft and vulnerable.
Okay, I'm listening.
And cancers, they embody that duality. They might put on a tough exterior, but deep down, they're incredibly sensitive and caring.
So that hard shell is more like a defense mechanism.
Exactly. It's how they protect their incredibly big hearts. And that ties into the element associated with cancer.
Water.
Right. Just like water, cancers are fluid, adaptable. They can be calm and peaceful one minute, then whoosh, big waves of emotion the next.
I know a few cancers who embody that perfectly.
Right. It's that depth and complexity that makes them so fascinating.
So we've got this image of the crab, right, with the hard shell, the soft underbelly, and the emotions ebbing and flowing like the tides. What else makes a cancer a cancer?
Well, the source we're looking at really emphasizes that cancers are deeply, and I mean deeply, empathetic.
Empathetic. In what way?
They don't just feel sorry for you if you're going through something. They genuinely feel your pain as if it were their own.
Wow. That's intense.
It is. It's like they have this incredible ability to step into your shoes and experience the world through your eyes.
I can see how that would be a blessing and a curse, honestly. Incredible to have that support, but draining for the cancer, right?
100%. It's a gift, but it also means they need to be mindful of their own boundaries so they don't get overwhelmed by everyone else's emotions.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Wouldn't want them turning into a walking, talking emotional sponge.
So how does this play out in their everyday lives? Like, how do you spot a cancer in the wild?
Oh, you'll know. They're the ones always there for you, no matter what.
The friend who always brings the chicken soup when you're sick.
That's the one. Or they just seem to have this uncanny knack for knowing when you need a shoulder to cry on, even before you do.
It's almost spooky how they do that. It's all that intuition. They just pick up on those unspoken cues. And it's not just about sensing when something's wrong. Cancers are also amazing at celebrating your wins with you.
Oh, for sure. They're the ultimate hype crew.
Exactly. They genuinely want the best for you and find so much joy in seeing the people they care about thrive.
That must be where that nurturing quality comes from, right?
Absolutely. Cancers are natural caregivers. They find a lot of fulfillment in creating a sense of home and belonging for the people they love, whether that's their actual home or just the feeling they bring to a relationship.
It's like they bring the cozy vibes wherever they go.
They really do.
It's fascinating how these personality traits can actually translate into career choices, right? Like, it's not just about who you are, but what you're drawn to do.
Totally. And it makes sense if you think about it.
It does.
Mm.
But lay it out for me.
Well, this source we're looking at, it highlights how cancers are often drawn to, well, careers that involve nurturing and caregiving.
Okay, yeah. I was just thinking about that.
Things like, counseling or therapy, social work, even teaching.
Makes sense. Those are all professions where you're like directly impacting people's lives in a very real and emotional way.
Exactly. They create those safe spaces for people to heal, to grow, and, just to feel heard. It's that cancer magic.
Your magic. But let's be real. No sign is perfect, right? We all have our quirks.
Absolutely.
So what about cancers? What are some of the, challenges that come with this sensitive, intuitive nature?
Well, one thing this source mentions is mood swings. Cancers are known for those, and it's not always easy for them or the people around them.
Yeah, I can imagine, like, what sets them off.
It can be anything, honestly. Remember, they feel everything so deeply. What might seem like a minor inconvenience to you or me, Well, for a Cancer, it could feel like a tidal wave.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
It is, and it's why patience and understanding are key when you're dealing with a Cancer, especially when those emotional tides are high.
So how do you handle it when a Cancer's having a moment? Just like let them ride it out.
Sometimes, honestly, that's the best approach. Just be there for them, offer support, but don't try to downplay their feelings or offer quick fixes.
Just listen.
Exactly. Sometimes just listening with empathy and giving them a safe space to process their emotions is the most helpful thing you can do. Let them know you're their rock,
Mhm.
that steady shoreline when the emotional storm hits.
I like that, the steady shoreline. So we've got mood swings, anything else?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Another potential challenge the source talks about is emotional overwhelm.
Right. Like they're absorbing everyone else's stuff all the time.
Exactly. And it's exhausting. Because they have such big hearts, Cancers often struggle to separate their own feelings from the feelings of others. It's like they're carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders.
No wonder they need that hard shell sometimes.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important for Cancers to set boundaries. Learning to say no and prioritize their own well-being is absolutely crucial for them to thrive.
It's like self-care is non-negotiable for these folks.
It really should be. They give so much to others, but they need to remember to refill their own cup too.
Love that. Refill your own cup. It's not selfish. It's essential.
Okay, we've talked about the deep empathy, the intuition, and some of the challenges that come with being a Cancer. But this deep dive wouldn't be complete without talking about relationships, right?
The heart of the matter.
Exactly. So what does this source say about how Cancers approach love, friendships, and all that good stuff?
Well, I think it's safe to say that Cancers approach relationships with, well, the same depth and intensity that they bring to everything else in their lives.
So no surface level stuff for these guys.
Not a chance. They crave those deep, meaningful connections, the kind of bonds that are built on trust, loyalty, and of course, emotional intimacy.
So they're not afraid to be vulnerable, to put themselves out there. Not at all. In fact, they thrive in environments where they can be their authentic selves, where they can express their emotions freely and openly without fear of judgment.
That's beautiful. But it takes two to tango, right?
Absolutely. And when they find someone who can reciprocate that, who can meet them at that level of emotional depth,
It's pure magic.
pure magic, they become the most loving and devoted partners you can imagine.
So it sounds like finding that reciprocal vulnerability, that's key for Cancers to really thrive in relationships.
It's essential. Cancers bring their whole hearts to the table, and they need to know that the other person is willing to do the same.
No holding back. But relationships can be tricky, right? Even when two people really care about each other.
Oh, tell me about it. It's a dance, isn't it? Navigating those emotional currents.
For sure. And I'm guessing it doesn't hurt to have a little astrological insight on your side.
Right, little cosmic cheat sheet.
Exactly. So what does our source say about like astrological compatibility with Cancers? Who are they naturally drawn to?
Well, unsurprisingly, Cancers tend to gravitate towards other water signs. Scorpio, Pisces, birds of a feather, and all that.
Makes sense. Water signs, they just get each other.
Yeah.
But why is that? What makes those pairings so special?
They speak the same emotional language. They're comfortable diving deep, expressing their feelings openly, offering that unwavering support. It's a natural fit.
Like swimming in the same ocean, riding the same waves. You mentioned Scorpio and Pisces. Any other signs that Cancers tend to vibe with?
Earth signs can also be a good match for Cancers. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. They bring a grounding energy that can be really stabilizing for a Cancer's emotional waves.
Opposites attract.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
but it's more about balance. Earth signs, they bring that stability and practicality that can help ground a Cancer, while Cancers bring, well, the emotional depth and warmth that Earth signs sometimes crave.
It's about finding that sweet spot, that yin and yang. But what about those pairings that might be a little more, shall we say, challenging?
Ah, yes, the ones that require a little extra navigation.
This source mentions a couple, right?
It does. It calls out Aries and Aquarius as potentially requiring a bit more effort to find that harmony.
Aries, that's a fire sign, right?
That's right. Fire and water can be a little volatile
I could see that, like oil and water.
sometimes. Aries, they're known for their impulsivity, their boldness. Cancers, well, they're a bit more cautious, more sensitive.
So it's that classic case of opposites attract, but then they have to figure out how to balance those differences so they don't clash.
Exactly. Open communication is key. And a willingness to really understand and appreciate the other person's perspective, even if it's totally different from your own.
Compromise.
Yeah.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Right. Relationships are all about compromise no matter what your sign is. But with these pairings, it's even more important to be mindful of those differences.
And what about Aquarius? Why might that pairing be a little tricky?
Well, Aquarius is an air sign, and air signs are known for like their intellectualism and, a certain degree of emotional detachment.
Which can be tough for a Cancer to handle.
Exactly. Cancers, they thrive on emotional connection, on that deep intimacy. So if an Aquarius is not giving them that,
It's a recipe for disaster.
not necessarily disaster, but definitely a recipe for, some communication breakdowns. Again, it all comes back to understanding those differences and finding ways to bridge that gap.
So much good stuff here. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. From Cancer's incredible capacity for empathy, their love for those deep, meaningful connections, to, the importance of self-care, setting boundaries. What's your biggest takeaway here? Like, if our listeners remember one thing about Cancers, what should it be?
Oh, that's easy. Remember that those born under the sign of the crab are ruled by the moon, which embodies emotions, intuition, and the subconscious.
They're the feelers of the Zodiac.
Exactly. Cancers lead with their hearts, which means they're capable of incredible love, loyalty, and compassion.
But also prone to those emotional highs and lows we talked about.
It's all part of the package. Approach them with sensitivity, offer a safe harbor, and you'll be amazed by the depth and beauty they bring to your life.
Beautifully said. It's been a pleasure diving deep into the world of Cancer with you today.
The pleasure was all mine. Always happy to talk about this fascinating sign.
To our listeners, we hope you've enjoyed this exploration of the wonderful and sometimes wacky world of astrology. Until next time, keep those hearts open and those minds curious.